G'day, guys. Welcome back to the NBL GDS Swordplay podcast. And for the first time ever, take a look at these kits. After months and months of promises, I'll get one to you, boys. I'll get one to you. They have finally delivered just in time before Christmas. So, gentlemen, you are looking absolutely outstanding tonight. Vernsey, how did it feel, mate? You finally got that package in the mail, mate. Early Christmas present. You'd be up and about with all the basketball that's going on. How have you been, my brother?
Yeah, and I've been good, mate. Honestly, when this package came, I don't really order anything myself, so I knew what it was. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yes. So I've been so keen for this podcast to show it on off. So get a good look, people. This is clean.
Absolute quality. I think green's your color, mate. It matches your eyes, I think. And for anyone that does want to get their hands on one of these polos, supercoachswordplay.com is where you get all of your swordplay merch. And Boz, you look just as good, my friend, in the green. I think it's your color as well.
Yeah, it must be. I did a lot of Christmas shopping over the last few weeks, so there's plenty of packages rolling through my door, and then kind of had this one left over, and I generally forgot what it was until I opened it up, and here we are. I've got the Supercoach Swordplay potty rugby long sleeve, feeling good. I think I look a bit like a skateboarder at the moment with my little panel hat and my little kind of collar. So no, I'm feeling good.
I like it, and I rate the look. Let me tell you that, mate. I rate the look. So, guys, we are going to turbo through this one this week because there's not a heap of changes when it comes to our squads and any type of player movement, but we'll go through our results, look at the top 5 from each position. Importantly, check out the matchups for the week. Who's got the singles, who's got the doubles, and then we will say goodbye and good luck for the round. But, boys, we'll start off with our results for the week. Now, in the starter comp, we can see that there's 3 of us here at the moment, not including our brother Janeth, who's not with us tonight, and he does send his love to everyone. But we can see Mr. Whiskers at number 6 there, the Dorcher Chamber at 8. And, boys, I am 1 solitary point away from the first place in the starter comp for the season. Now, my good man Izzy, my good mate Izzy, is currently in number 1. So, look, if he takes it out, I'm more than happy with that. But pretty stoked to be up there at the moment. And if we go to the contender and the classic leaderboards, and these are the seasonal leaderboards, we can see the Dorcher Chamber, Janeth in 3rd in contender, coming in 4th in classic as well. So getting very, very close to one of those nice cards, those nice prize cards at the end of the season. But boys, quickly tell us how your rounds went. Vernsey, how'd you go, mate? Starter, contender, classic. Any magnificent results?
Unfortunately not. Look, the starter comp, I did go a little bit left of field. I mean, we kind of talk about each week, Bryson Hickey being set and forget. But I thought, like, sometimes you just got to take a punt. You got to change it up. You got to throw something unique in there. And I threw in Freeman Liberty, and he scored me a solid 24. So that was the wrong move. So yeah, tanked pretty hard in the starter comp, and contender, honestly, just Doolittle being huge. Had a gold Cheatham who wasn't great this week either. So yeah, not the greatest week overall. I think 29th for contender. So that was kind of my best result.
But that still gets you a common pack, doesn't it, Vernsey? So
yeah, it still gets me the 1 common card. Yeah.
Have you opened it yet?
I have not actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got 3, I think, because I got, 11th in starter and 30s in the classic and contender. Boz, results for the week, mate. Anything to write home about?
Absolutely not. No, I had a pretty shocking week. I was super keen after about Friday night's games. I thought I was doing quite well. And I had a goal to Wundu that I put in my classic team. So I was thinking, you know what? That set me up really nicely. Could be some sort of a pod move. And that was someone I actually packed for my rewards last week. But yeah, the rest of the week just kind of went downhill from there, especially Doolittle. He just didn't want to get going in either of those games. And, I thought maybe the first game was a bit of a blemish and he'd bounce back, but he didn't look interested in either of those games. So yeah, hoping for a big bounce back this week. But I think my best was 31st in starter. So yeah, definitely nothing to be too happy about.
Always this week, mate. I've got great confidence. Now, very quickly, Janice sent through this. Sorry, lads, won't be able to join tonight. My round review, 45th weekly in starter, 14th in contender, 7th in classic. That's for the week. And then as we saw for the season, 8th in starter, 3rd in contender, and 4th in classic. The man is an absolute freak. And looking forward to AFL GDS that's about to really boom soon, boys, as well. Now we can see the results here. I won't go through all of them here, but I'll take a look at your two boys here. So we've got Sam against the Jackies. Unfortunately, just went down by 8 points there, Verns. And then you got a bit of revenge here on Boz's boys, 92 to 80, which I'm sure you'd be happy about. But boys, anything you want to talk about regards to results this week? Anything too exciting? Anything that was a bit of a surprise for you guys?
I mean, what's exciting results wise is United losing both their games, just for like the ladder getting spiced up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to see Top Dog lose a few, come back to the pack, make things interesting. And all their players were absolutely awful fantasy wise. So,
Was anything that really stood out to you, mate? Obviously, sad to lose against Vernsy's boys.
Yeah, I mean, pretty expected, heading into Gippsland, heading the country, Victoria. I don't think, PJC and the boys had ever been into an arena or an environment like that. But to be fair, I think the only kind of game that I'm looking at that was maybe an upset was maybe Tassie in that first game over Sam. I know Tassie have quite a good roster, but they just haven't been playing well. So that was a huge win for them. But then every other result, maybe you could argue Sydney beating Melbourne in Melbourne. You could probably just kind of say we penciled all those ones in, to be honest, because we're at the point of the season now where the good teams keep winning and the bad teams are starting to really show how bad they are, i.e. the Brisbane Bullets. They are woeful.
Yes, we can see them all the way down there in 9th position, just ahead of the Taipans. And the 36ers now top of the ladder, followed by United, your boys, Verns, Sam, the Kings, Wildcats, Jackies, Boz's Breakers, the Hawks, and as we mentioned, the Bullets and the Taipans. But let's get into these players, lads. We'll start with the point guards as we have the last couple of weeks. And look, to be honest, has much changed here? Is it pretty much, again, PJC, KD, and don't think too much about it unless you're really in a position where you need to make a pod play? Is it as simple as that, boys?
yeah, I mean, Walker didn't play. Did he not play both these games? I'm pretty sure he didn't play, or just one. You didn't play.
He played the second. No, he played in the second.
Okay. So Walker didn't play. Obviously Illy's back, so that's hugely affecting him. So basically cross him off. The cool news about this week is every team has a double, so you basically pick the best players. So lock in PJC, lock in KD. Simple as that.
Beautiful, boss. Anything to add?
Nah, it's 100% correct there from Verns. I just want to say I did finally, for the first time ever, play Andrew Andrews in Classic. He's got his gold card, which did me quite well. I think he actually scored quite decent in the one game that Cairns did play this week. So, yeah, might start rolling him out a fair bit now in my Classic side.
I like that. Now, talk about a pod play. The man that we haven't trusted, and I think you were calling him Andrew Adams for a while there, weren't you? Burns, sorry to start the season. But, hey, now he's a good mate of yours in the squad, and that's what's great about this competition. You've got so many options week to week. Bang a different one in and actually rewarded Boz this week, which is awesome. All right, on to the shooting guard. So, BC, Hickey, Sobey, I think, may have gone up a spot since last week. Hamilton, and then you mentioned that you played him this week, Burns. The man with the hyphen, Freeman Liberty. Yeah, didn't turn out too well. But, boys, we lock in Bryce. This is simple. Everyone, if you got a Bryce, just do it. The highest card that you got, great. What's next, boys? Are we still pretty confident in Will Hickey being that next option, or anything changed? Anyone else on your radars?
I'll take it as a guy that went away from Hickey this week. Don't do it. So painful.
Life lessons from Burns. Boz?
Yeah, look, I think there's an argument that you could play Sobey instead of Hickey. Like, I really think Sobey's just shown that this is his consistent year. But look, yeah, Hickey's just... I mean, we saw it last year when Trey Carl or Tyler Harvey were injured. He could do this, but it's crazy how consistent he is. Like, every week you're kind of waiting for that poor game, and it just never seems to be coming. Even when they're getting blown out of games, even when they're getting as a team beaten pretty badly, Will Hickey still continues to put up that really nice balanced kind of stat line. So I think for the time being, considering the point guard position is his, the role is his, he's got the minutes. They're going nowhere, and we see what he can do. You pretty much have to play him. And I'm someone who was really bullish on Freeman Liberty last week, and watching him in the second game on Sunday, he didn't want to shoot the ball. I don't know what's going on. Like, in his first couple of games in the league, he couldn't stop shooting the ball, and now it's almost like he's just taken the paycheck and been like, "Oh, I'll help you guys out, but I'm not going to really do much on the floor."
Yeah,
So I'm hoping to see a much more aggressive JFL before I even consider playing him, which is sad because I went out and poached all those cheap gold and platinum cards. So maybe he knows I did someone dirty and he's not playing well for me.
Hey, it happens, but hey, those values, they go up and down just like the stock market, Boz. So don't worry, he'll come back good soon. All right, on to the big boys in the center spot. And we've had a fair discussion about these guys probably in the last 2-3 weeks, ever since the fall off from JLA. And it's looked the same story with McGee. We just lock this bloke in every single week. But this position, I think, is up for discussion week upon week. And we also see Will Magnay into that top 5 for the first time this year as well. So, boys, I'll just ask you, looking into this week, because obviously we've got to look short term, given the fact that most of us would have, at least one of these cards from bronze, silver to gold. What are we doing after McGee this week? Are any of you overly confident in any of these other options from Harrison, JLA, Menenga, Magnay, even down to Humphreys, who's not on the list?
I mean, I'll let you go this time, Boz. I feel like I started every other time.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I think I still back in Harrison. I just think he's got the best pedigree in terms of kind of, consistency and things like that. We've seen JLA, he often, when Doolittle's doing a lot, he doesn't do much. But this week we saw Doolittle do little, as you'd say. And JLA finally had a game where he averaged, I think he got 9 rebounds in one of those games. So at least he rebounded the ball well. But I just don't think I can trust that every week at the moment. If we see it for the next couple of weeks consistently, then I think it's fair to say that JLA might, have a bit of a mid-season resurgence. Will Magnay, to be honest, is probably the most informed centre, bar from obviously McGee just being a monster. Over the last couple of weeks, he looks like he's been playing more minutes. It looks like he's a bit more active on defense. He's getting a few more blocks than what he was getting earlier in the season. He's rebounding well, finishing well at the rim. I know Tassie are really fighting for that playing spot. So I feel like Will Magnay has kind of turned the Jets on a little bit there. So again, it's that second spot. And that really makes or breaks your week. It's kind of like that second small forward position and that second center position and maybe one of your power forward positions. They're really the 3 positions that if you get them right, you're going to do really well. And if you stink one of them up, then you pretty much got no chance of winning. So, look, I'm not blaming anyone here if they are looking now at Will Magnay, just based off his last couple of rounds. It's okay to play players that are in form. So for me, I still like Harrison, but someone like a Magnay or even a JLA, if Doolittle starts to do less, are fine options.
Yeah, like it. Vernsey, what are your thoughts with the big boys?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Humphrey in there last week. This is the only change. Humphrey went out, Magnay came in. So it's really good to see how close and compact those big guys are. In reality, that just means there's so many options there. And as you said, if you get the right one in the right week, then boom, it's a huge leg up, especially because we know how low some of these floors are. I think, Harrison this week, going into New Zealand, who typically haven't been the strongest team against centers, and going into Sem, who kind of run John Brown as the 5-man a lot of time, and they do give up big points to centers as well. So I feel like there's 2 good matchups there for Harrison that he should do well. I feel like the opposite for Magnay. I feel like Magnay going into JLA and going into Jesse Edwards, and neither of those matchups scream good to me. So I feel like, with this kind of setup, you kind of just want to target the guys with the good matchups. So I think Harrison probably has the best one, and then behind that, I'll maybe say Menenga. I mean, he gets Cairns, and Cairns are running Kyron Galloway as their big man, and we know he's not really a big man. So it's a good matchup, and then bullets aren't very good. So I would go for one of those 2, Harrison or Menenga, personally.
I like it, and I think if you're looking at something like the starter comp where everyone's got all the bronzes pretty much that you need, this is a huge decision. And for someone like me that is literally 1 point away from the seasonal leader, this is such a huge decision week upon week. So apart from McGee that's obviously locked in, I'm probably leaning towards Harrison myself, but there's still that part of me that has some small belief that JLA could come back and go bang, because we've seen him do it before. But I'm probably on Harrison as C2 at the moment. But massive decision, I think, this one with the big boys in the center. All right, power forwards. So Jack McVeigh continues to stay at the top there with a 55.3 average. You've got John Brown. Doolittle, who I've already talked about, was pretty disappointing this week, but had a fairly solid season apart from that rough patch at the start. Bannon, as well as Xavier Cooks, who I actually played in a couple of my comps this week. Boys, what do we think here? Do we have two that are really standing out for this week in particular? It's McVeigh, is it? And then we're selecting one out of the next four?
Yeah, I mean, look, I love Brown. I enjoy watching Brown. I would go McVeigh Brown if I have them. As you guys know, I don't have a McVeigh, so I will figure that out. Saying that, I found this week so funny in the sense. So he talked about Josh Bannon being so consistent because of his scores, and then last week he went awful and went like 20 or whatever it was, and then this week goes boom and absolutely explodes with points. It was the opposite of what we just said he was doing. So that was pretty wild to see. But yeah, I personally like going McVeigh and Brown. And if you want a third, it's very hard. Cook's hitting a bit of form is nice. Do you hope for a Doolittle bounce back, or do you just go with old reliable Bannon? Hard to say.
It is, Boz. Which way are you leaning with the power forward spots?
Yeah, they're all five very good players. It's crazy that each week it seems like they're all scoring relatively the same. As you can probably see by the average, like the averages aren't so far and few between. So
Yeah,
it's tough. It is tough. I don't know. I think I currently am backing in Doolittle for a bounce back week. So I feel like a lot of people will just go, you know what? He's giving me a 12 and a 13. I'm not even going to consider it. So I'm hoping that, an import professional leader of the team gets down on himself when he plays bad. I'm just going more for that motivation narrative of I want to kind of bounce back in at least one of these games. And then I think I've got Cooks actually. I've made my lineups already, and I'm pretty sure I've got Cooks purely for that Cairns game. I just think, Cooks, against a McVeigh or even against a Wardenberg who's still playing limited minutes, only playing about 20 a game because of his coming back from injury. I just feel like Cooks could have a big game, but that's me really kind of stretching there and going for two kind of narrative selections per se. So, any one of these five is fine. John Brown actually seems to be the current consistent one, along with Jack McVeigh. And then the other three are a little bit more volatile, as Vern said, with Bannon kind of being a bit of a yo-yo. So, yeah, tough ones, but I'm kind of going for the two that I think will be forgotten about the most and see if that can kind of shoot me up the rankings.
Yeah, like the strategy. So predicting who may be the pods. And I think you may be right with Doolittle, the fact that he's given those two stinkers to us, and then people may react to that pretty quickly. So I'm reckon you may be onto something there. But I think what I got from that conversation, and you boys both touched on it, is that all five of these options are realistic week upon week. And at times it's a little bit of a lottery, a little bit of guesswork, but that's where it's important to look at the matchup. So I heard you two already talk about that, who players were playing, and that's also part of your decision process at the end of the day as well. So very good discussion there, boys, but a very, very tough spot to pick. All right, we're going to finish with these small forwards before we take a look at the upcoming fixture. And I'm going to butcher his name. So, Vernsey, please help me out here. The man that we see at the top, where's
the one do? Look, he's been great. He's been so good. Malik Lewis obviously hasn't been playing, and that's huge. Like, that just allows him to do so much more. But we talked about it last week. Like, he came in as this defensive player, and all of a sudden he's now an offensive player as well. He's scoring the three. They're looking for him in offense. He pulls up for the two. I saw him do a cheeky one on the weekend where I swear he takes one step in from the 3-point line and splashes a two, which is a coach killer. You hate players doing that. Just do it from three if you're that close. But yeah, he's a serious baller. It was the first game against Taz where he really popped off. He was perfectly solid in their win against Breakers. But yeah, it was really good against Taz, and honestly really enjoy watching him play. So I really want one of his cards.
Nice. Well, Boz, you just acquired one, I believe, and you played it in one of your comps with Contender or Classic?
Yeah, I played it in Classic. I've been kind of, since Prather's gone down, been really scarce in that area and having to kind of play in one of Classic or Contender, someone like a Karim Lopez, who we know is a little bit volatile with his scoring. Also had Lamar Patterson going out there a couple of times, and he's now done a hammy, so he's out as well for Brisbane. So I was really kind of skinny in that area. But yeah, being lucky enough to pack in a Wundu, I was really, really fortunate. And yeah, Verns is right. It's that factor that Malik Lewis is out, and he's getting his basic minutes just open completely up. Because I think he was only coming off the bench and playing maybe 20 minutes a game, whereas now he's starting and playing about 30. 10 more minutes is massive in a game of basketball. That's a whole nother quarter to consume stats. Yeah, to get rebounds, steals, blocks, hit a few points, etc. So yeah, I think Wes Iwundu, as long as Malik Lewis is out, he's definitely, if you've got him, he's going to be such a great solid pod option. You can play across any of the formats. And then I think just based on consistency for me, Chetham's still probably the second. I just think he's figured out his role in Adelaide. There's talks he's actually about to put pen to paper to actually sign a couple more years. So he's someone that if you've got some of these cards, I would look to hold on to them. So that's a good little bit of market kind of experience there. And then Windler's the one that will make or break your round. Like he's the one that could go off for a big one, but then also might have a week where he can't shoot and then his scores are down. So yeah, those top two there are the two at the top for a reason, in my opinion. So I'll be running those two in most comps where I do have them.
Nice. Definitely a pod because he's not an easy card to get, is Wes. So I think that's a little bit of an advantage that you got up your sleeve there, Boz. And just quickly back to Cheatham potentially signing on. When you watch this bloke, you can tell how much passion he's got for that team and for his teammates as well. Like he was just going off, believe. But the passion oozes through for me, from what I've seen anyway, particularly after that massive win that they had. He was just absolutely pumped for all his mates. So, yeah, like that. And, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a Wes. So I do have 3 single cards to open. So fingers crossed, may get lucky there. But, yeah, don't like my chances. Great discussion, boys. We are going to finish up with the Week 13 fixture. Now, Verns, I think you touched on this before. Every team has a double for the week. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Which is just, it's really cool in the sense that you get a lot of you can do whatever you want. You don't have to. I think a few weeks you kind of get baited into following the fixture, and in this format, obviously, it doesn't matter as much. But having everyone on a double really means just backing the best players. They've got two chances, and people like Bryce, like JLA, you just know they're gonna get it done, sort of thing. And at least one of those games, or at least you'd hope they would. Speaking of Cheatham real quickly as well, he's just so passionate on Twitter as well. Obviously speaks a lot there, and I think really has loved being here in the NBL for just like what you can tell. And yeah, I think he'd be very excited to sign on, and I know all of us as fans are excited to see him stick around because he is just so explosive and just such an entertaining player to watch. So get it done. 100%. Get it done, Adelaide.
100%. I'm all on board there, mate. All on board. Boz, anything in particular standing out to you, mate? We've already talked about most of the key matchups when we were going through the individual players in the top 5s, but anything else you want to touch on with the Week 13 fixture? We know that every team's got a double. Anything else to add with any particular matchups, mates, or just more follow your gut on go with the players that you think are going to score well?
Yeah, well, I would always suggest that you follow your gut. That's the whole point of doing a fantasy competition. There are players you're going to like and not like. I don't advise you to put someone in your team that you despise. But when I look at the fixture, like nothing really stands out. Obviously, we like to target Cairns. We like to target Bullets. I'll be honest. I think Cairns are playing a lot better than the Bullets at the moment. The Bullets are just shocking. They're offensively and defensively just terrible. So, obviously you're looking at Sem, and you're looking at the Breakers who are coming up against the Bullets. I like the fact that Kings have 2 home games. They're the only team that remain in their state, or not in their state, but in their kind of their court, I should say. Again, I like to look at kind of intricate little things with schedules, and I think being able to stay in your own bed and having a couple of days rest in between and staying in Sydney would be a good thing for them. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm choosing Xavier Cooks. So hopefully that can be repaid there. But in terms of actual fixture, again, the NBL, it's such a tight competition that, as we said, even though Cairns are last, they're still really competitive and they're still playing really, really well, to the point where we're happy to put some Cairns players still in our team. It's not like the AFL when we all pretty much are avoiding players from certain teams because that team is so terrible. So yeah, for me, it's just looking at those little things like that. So I think, Cooks is nice with that Sydney run. And then, So you'd be smart to target the Bullets, or teams that are playing the Bullets, I should say.
Yeah. And what I will also notice here is we can see that the fixture goes all the way to Tuesday. So it starts tomorrow on the Wednesday and goes all the way to Tuesday in reality. So
Dang.
this is a really long week. I don't know how we're going to do the podcast if we can next week. And with that, yeah, Kings also have a really big break. They play Wednesday, then they play Sunday. So they have a really nice break there in between their games. These aren't just like, rocking up on a Thursday, playing on the Saturday, get a 1 day off sort of thing. So I do really like the look of that as well. I would like to also speak on Warningberg quickly, just because it was so good to have him back. Honestly, he was such an instant improvement to that Cairns side. Like, that Cairns team looks so much better with him out there. He shows up straight away. He gets the alley-oop dunk. He does something stupid and punches a sign, and then he hits that really nice 3-ball and has to go get his hand attended to. But yeah, it was so good seeing him back, and Cairns generally look just so much better with him. So I love that he's back, and I can't wait for him to be back at full strength.
That's a great little shout out there, Vernsey. Now, Verns, the question I've got to ask you, with NBA going all the way until Tuesday, we've got a heap of NBA. Are you going to see any of your friends and family during the next 7 days?
Maybe not. No. Definitely will. Definitely will.
Oh, no, you just love it. Both of you boys absolutely just love the game of basketball. The NBL, the NBA, even you guys have knowledge on the Euro leagues and stuff that I just, too much for me. But cannot thank you enough as always, guys. It was a bit of a quicker one this week, but really wanted to compact things, give you all the good oil in just under half an hour. So mission accomplished, boys. Mission accomplished. And remember, if somehow you've been living under a rock and you're just finding this podcast and the great platform even of Game Day Squad, make sure that you do sign up using the redeem code UNITED, UNITED. That's going to get you a heap of free packs on us and the boys at Game Day Squad, just to set you up nicely. And it's never too late to join. Go for those weekly prizes. Easy to win in the starter. I've done it a couple of times somehow myself. So never too late to join, and make sure that you do jump on using the code. But boys, nothing to add before we say goodbye to our beautiful audience again?
Well, I just want to say that I'm pretty sure from Wednesday there's basketball in the NBL for I think for 12 days in a row at least. So for those that are kind of thinking they have a day to choose their teams, as of Tuesday, you won't. You'll literally have, just like NBA kind of Supercoach, you'll literally have about 12 hours to make your lineup decision that rolls into the next round. So it's a fun time of year because there's literally basketball every single night, Monday through to Sunday. So yeah, I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays, enjoy the Christmas break, but also most importantly, enjoy the basketball.
Oh, love that, mate. Love that. And I won't even mention BBL on this, but yeah, make sure that you do sign up to GDS BBL. If you're not already busy enough with all of your fantasy sports, the cricket has just started as well, but we're not talking about the cricket here. We're talking about the great game of basketball. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in as always, and we'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, lads. Bye.